Okay, hello everybody. David, can you please allow the screen? David, can you please allow the screen sharing? Hello everybody. Okay, hello everybody. David, can you please allow the screen? Oh, I'm hearing myself
David, can you
twice.
please allow screen sharing?
Do you guys hear things twice? No, I heard myself twice.
I did, but not anymore.
Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Hello everybody. Today is the 25th of July, 2024. And I welcome you all to the Headstown Hall. Our agenda for today is we'll have some protocol and product updates, including Farcaster Hats Frames alpha test by Nick, some Hats Up v2.8 updates, and some words about the passport eligibility module. We'll then follow with some ProtoDAO updates from David. We'll have a break for some Q&A, and we'll finish with a Treasure DAO and a Hats demo. So with that, Nick, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Ido. Please drop your ENS in the chat, and I'm going to mint you a hat. Get us started right away. What we're going to do here is we're going to share my screen, chat. All right. Hello. Okay, what you can see here is this is the way that a tree looks when we set it up for a Farcaster account. The way that second, please. Here we go. What we're going to do today is we're going to share everyone on this account. So we're going to grant everyone a hat. The hat's going to let you use some frames that we built that lets you post from another account while you're logged into your main account. These are like live. We're alpha testing now. And everyone by the end of this section of the call should be able to claim the casting authority and post from this account. So the back end behind the scenes, this was set up using HeroCast. I'm not going to walk through that flow because it's a little bit complicated and takes a while. But HeroCast generates a tree for you, and the tree has a top hat, typical top hat, and then there's two really important hats in this tree. The first one is the admin, which can mint caster hats and can control the smart contract, the Farcaster Delegator smart contract that's actually managing this whole flow. And then the caster hat, which lets anyone use the hat and the account to cast. So I'm going to add everyone in here. I think David, you already have it. Perfect. So these contracts are all on Optimism because the Farcaster contracts are on Optimism. So anyone who posted, you should now be able to see that you have the hat here in the tree.
What wallet was that?
This is my Arc wallet.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know Arc had a built-in wallet.
No, sorry. It's my MetaMask and Arc that I use for testing games.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to work.
Didn't recognize the pop-up.
Okay, yeah. So now that we have that, everyone should be able to go to this cast, which I'm also going to drop in the chat. This cast is the first frame. The frame allows you to claim the ability to cast through this account. You can see I've already done this, but if I hadn't already done this, then you would see a transaction. You want to be logged in here on Warpcast using the wallet that has the hat. You send the transaction, and then once you send the transaction, you should get this screen that says successfully claimed. If for some reason you when you load that, it says you don't have the hat, then please post something in the chat so that we can make sure that you get the hat. Once you do that, there's these two buttons here, installing the cast action for the cast action for casting and the cast action for replying. You probably want to install both. I already have them installed, but this is the flow that Warpcast uses to let you actually add the cast actions to your action bar. Once you have that done, anytime you click on this little action icon under a cast, you're going to have these two options. So the first thing I did when we started this demo was to share that this is the way that the cast is created. I'm going to go to the hat poster account by selecting 4. Then you can type anything you want. You can cast it into a channel if you like. Then boom. You're able to now have not only use a shared account from a bunch of different people, but you're also able to use that account directly in Warpcast without having to switch clients or switch accounts while you're focused on your main account. And you can also do replies. You can see now I can have a whole conversation with myself in an empty echo chamber that is Farcaster. Just kidding. So once you guys get set up with that, you can just let us know that it's live, and feel free to say whatever you want from this from Hat's account. We're just going to use it as a test account. We're going to add a bunch of people to it, so don't feel shy about testing using channels, testing images, replies, likes, whatever you like. Let's just play with it. Big shout out to Ido for building the frames. The whole team for working really hard on this over the last 6 weeks. It's been a big push, and it's pretty much almost ready. So really, really exciting. Any questions about this flow, or from the team? Anything else that you guys want to see on the screen? There's two actions. There's the cast from, and then there's the reply from. Cast is going to let you send top level casts into channels or just in the main feed, and reply from is going to let you reply in line to casts that you see on your feed. And you have to install both of them from the initial frame, which I linked here. Yeah, I'm still curious if like we should do one cast action per account and then have all those in the same action, or then you would have to have like multiple actions installed for different accounts. But this is the way that we designed it for now, but I think it's pretty good. All right. If there's no other questions, then I look forward to seeing your hat posting. And yeah, let us know if you want one of these accounts set up for you. I've already set up 3, and I'm going to be doing a lot more setups this week. Ido, back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick, and welcome, Barton. Still connecting. Okay, thank you. we'll now move on to Scott for some heads up updates.
Nice, thanks. Yeah, so we're working through some of the module authorities and getting those updated so they're a lot easier to digest when you see them in your tree, and handling module chaining. So excited to kind of show off what we've been doing there. First, we've just been incorporating a lot of the colors. You'll notice more of the teal color being used for contracts throughout the interface. We started doing it in the hat detail shade. Now we're actually populating it in the org chart. It looks really nice here on the rare tree, so wanted to show. And then the humanistic are kind of more of a pink. So those are usually not contracts that are wearing those individual hats. So it's kind of cool to see at a quick glance who's wearing different kinds of hats throughout the tree. The other part of seeing a bit more about who's controlling and can take action on a hat is kind of understanding the admins, and so we've been expanding out what you see when you go and visit the controller section, so you can kind of understand who can actually take actions against this particular hat. So kind of give you a quick glimpse of the different contracts or the different folks that are above the current hat, and then we really break it down for you so you can quickly see who's wearing which hat and kind of how those actions could be taken. So then the other part of the update has been around the different module authorities. So I've got a bunch of modules on all of these different hats. So they provide this hat with a bunch of authority updates or authorities. And so we've gone through and updated a lot of the details here, so it's a lot clearer as to what the actual elements are. There was the initial details before. Now we're able to actually bring in the actual details of each module for you, so you have a really quick glimpse at what's going on with the module at stake. Yeah, link to the agreement, things like that. So excited to be able to kind of parse those module authorities a lot easier. So as you're coming in and trying to take action on them, you can quickly grok what's going on. And so then the last thing, the exciting bit with chaining. So we're finally bringing chaining modules to the front end. So still cleaning this up a bit to pull in the actual individual hats, but this one is a chain of hat wearing modules. So basically you need to wear any of these hats, and so it's a bunch of hats that are hanging out over on this side of the tree. And so if I was wearing any of these hats, it would be eligible. So being able to actually take advantage of chains, we'll work on bringing the deployer in to the app as soon as we can. Let us know if you need a module chain deployed. We're happy to help set those up, because those can be helpful when you want some more flexibility in your hat eligibility. So hit us up and let us know if you find any issue, and we'll keep you posted when those are live.
Thank you very much, Scott. And last one on the protocol and product updates is the passport eligibility module from Spencer.
All right, so this is a module that you guys can hear me, right? Oh, that's a waiting room notification, not a I'm muted notification. The passport eligibility module is something that we have built and has been added to the modules registry in coordination and collaboration with the DAO Coalition team. So this is a great. Oh, there's a small view of a couple of them. It's gone away now. So this is a great example of not the Haberdasher Labs team submitting a module to the modules registry. If you guys are all familiar with Gitcoin Passport, then you'll know that the way that you get a passport is by gathering a bunch of different stamps from various places around the internet. But those are all off-chain. So how do we actually get your passport score, the score that tells the world that you are a unique human according to the passport sort of concept? how do we bring that on chain? How do we make that usable and set as an eligibility criterion for hats? So what the Passport team has done is use EAS attestations to bring that score on chain. And so then what our module is able to do, and I say our in terms of collectively with the DAO Coalition, is that module, it looks for the attestation on chain for a given user and says if that attestation exists, and if that attestation is for a score above, I think the typical one is 20, which is sort of the Gitcoin Passport recommended, you're most likely a unique human score, then the eligibility module will say that you are eligible. So this is great. So one of the things that we have talked about a number of times is how do we make sure that only unique humans are wearing a given hat, or how do we make sure that the same person isn't wearing the same hat twice via different addresses. So the Gitcoin Passport eligibility module can do just that. So it's all available on the app, just like any other module. I want to caution a couple. There's a couple things to be considering when thinking about whether to use the Passport eligibility module for a hat that for a given hat. And one of them is that sometimes the address that somebody wants to use to interact with an organization, or like maybe it's their work address or their DAO address or something like that, is not the same address that they've used to prove that they are a unique human. And if that's the case, then they would need to wait 90 days in order to change the address. And so that might create them some challenges. So if you're thinking about using the Passport eligibility module, maybe check first to see if the relevant people who might be supposed to wear that hat have Gitcoin Passport set up for the address of their choice, or the relevant address. And then the other one just to watch out for is that those Passport scores will expire after 90 days and need to be refreshed. The reason that expiry happens is to enable exactly the kind of address switching that I talked about a second ago in a safe and secure way that doesn't undermine the unique human promises of Gitcoin Passport. So we have been in conversations with the Passport team to make some of that easier, but for now, just keep that in mind. And there are going to be absolutely some cases where that is totally acceptable, and all you need is to be able to mint somebody the hat and make sure they're a unique human. So that's the Gitcoin Passport eligibility module. Thanks to the DAO Coalition team for working with us on that, and we hope to see many more examples of other teams, other projects building eligibility modules, maybe even without our knowledge whatsoever.
Cool. Thank you, Spencer. And moving on to some ProtoDAO updates by David.
All right, hey everybody. Share my screen really quick, and we'll keep this brief because I want to give time for the Treasure DAO demo. So just a few updates. Number one, contribution submissions and steward applications are open as of today. I'll send a message about that later today in the chat. We'll put the links to both of those. And contribution submissions, it's really a big tent. It can be integrations that have been built with hats, modules, content, coordination, ProtoDAO things, really anything that has contributed to the hats ecosystem in some way is eligible for receiving ProtoRep, which are the hats on-chain reputation points, which get converted into governance power over Hats ProtoDAO as one becomes a steward. On the right, we see the 8 kind of unique hats that have been created in the ProtoDAO by stewards so far this season. More coming. Just to run down what's going on there. There's a hats memologist who will have a shared Farcaster account to create and populate hats memes, and Hodlan leading that work. And the idea there too is to create a curation process over time that can support content coming out of the community. Then a podcaster hat forthcoming. Won't say too many details, but making some plans there. ProtoDAO Evolution, Hats in Practice is around case studies on specific use cases for hats that are in development. Legal Engineer, which Best Ape is here doing some amazing stuff, doing legal structures and operational agreements with hats trees. A Capilafile, which is a content focus, systems facilitator, which is design and facilitation for ProtoDAO events and meetings, and then Farcaster Mechanic, focused on development of the Farcaster channel and hats followings on Farcaster. I will stop it there. Hodlan and Best Ape, is there anything you want to mention about your hats here? If not, we can continue, no worries. Oh, Themes is here as well. Awesome. Themes with the Hats in Practice. And Brennan with the ProtoDAO Evolution. All right, we actually got good representation here. Sweet. Kyle.
Hey, yeah, so with the hats, the clinic is where I'm doing the most kind of like low-level legal stuff. So there's this idea of consent that's kind of interesting. So the person who joins the DAO, thanks for that. Yeah, I got this in Amsterdam. It's tulips for the first proper bubble. So yeah, anyway, so it's the person who joins the hat, they consent, and then there's an agreement, and that agreement deals with liabilities that, because of permissionlessness, don't really exist. So there's all this basically for entangling a bunch of different organizations that don't have privity with each other, how to make that not trigger a bunch of litigation in courts, basically. And then the DAO itself also does a consent hat. So I've been thinking a bit about children that aren't just of a single parent, but maybe in a future hats a few years down the road. Those are the main updates. And then we've got another client that we're working with, but that's a bit early. But yeah, we've got ourselves and then a client that's pretty exciting, but I'll hold off on announcing that.
Sweet, thank you for that. How about others, Hodlan or Brennan or Themes? Anything you want to share about progress so far and where you're at?
Yeah, I can go next. Mine's pretty quick. The main way that I kind of envision the ProtoDAO Evolution Catalyst is as a sounding board, and like thought partner is a word that David uses that I really like, to help amplify Haberdasher Labs around the ProtoDAO and bridge kind of context gaps between stewards and Haberdasher Labs, while just providing like a critical perspective and supporting voice. So I've been having pretty regular calls with David talking about, how the new role curator system is going overall, as well as the ProtoDAO generally. We've identified some things that we changed up this season that we might change back next season, and vice versa. And it's all about like Kaizen, like just identifying opportunities for continual growth and improvement through timely reflection and conversation. So it's been a pretty great time so far, and we'll keep iterating.
So for me, I'm actually just following Notion's 101 and customer success stories. So I'm working on 2 types of pages where people can see how to use hats for a specific case, like in terms of Rare DAO grants, and then like customer success stories to kind of amplify the value of using hats.
Yeah. And for me, for the Memologist, there's a lot of things that are just about to fall into place to allow us to actually be able to like post the memes and do that. And once that is moving forward and kind of all the stuff in the background is done, I'm going to be kind of soliciting participation from people in ProtoDAO, people in the community to we'll probably make a channel and come together and kind of coordinate around making hats memes. I've been doing it kind of on my own. It's really fun, and I'm excited to share my process and get other people involved as well. And so keep on the lookout for that if that's something that interests you. If you just want to fuck around in a channel and make hats themed memes.
Love it. All right, awesome. Thanks, everybody. With that, I'm going to pass it back to Ido.
Okay, thank you, David. We'll now open it up for some time for some Q&A. So really, just anything that you want to ask about, talk about. Maybe also it can be a good opportunity for anyone for which this HATS call is the first call to introduce yourself if you want. Yeah, so just open space. Yeah, Brennan.
I have a question for Scott on the new colors. So like I love this distinction. It makes it easy to identify like Gnosis safes, EOAs. I'm curious about your thoughts as smart wallet usage becomes more common for individuals. Right now, when we see a smart contract account, we imagine that's either a safe or a mechanism of some kind. And EOAs represent individuals. Over the next year, 2 years, that line may become more blurred. So I don't know if you've already thought about that. And the most concrete like question around that would be, what would the system display if a hat is worn by both an EOA and a smart contract?
Yeah, so as soon as we get into multiple wearers, we largely go back to just kind of a pink because we can't really distinguish them as much. It's just a little bit light. Pink. It's a good call out about the other the newer wallets that are popping up. I think there's a safe, like here we are pulling it out when we see it to kind of enunciate that it is actually a safe when we see it. We're still working on percolating that throughout the whole UI. But yeah, we should be able to start distinguishing when we see a specific type of 4337 account or a safe. We can kind of identify those and we can say that this isn't just a contract. This is a specific multi-sig, basically. Start to get smart about those labels. Good question.
Okay. If there's
Can I ask a question for to the group? Kind of stemming from that. Who here, and you can like comment if you have sort of comments about it, or just like raise your hand or do the emoji react thing. Who here has used a smart wallet at some point before?
Including Gnosis Safe?
No. Who here has used a smart account as their personal wallet in some fashion? So that could be an Gnosis Safe, but I imagine you mean, I don't mean as a multi-sig. Has anybody used Coinbase Smart Wallet? Okay. It's probably the distribution I would have expected, but I think, as you said, Brennan, that's going to continue to increase over time. I personally am super, super excited about smart wallets generally, but especially the Coinbase Smart Wallet. I think it's like super slick and really amazing, and basically gets adds a bunch of like really great UX improvements without sacrificing on some of the really core properties of EOAs that I think previous attempts at UX improvements have dropped or have forgotten. So if you haven't checked out Coinbase Smart Wallet, I highly encourage it, and there might be something related coming at some point here.
Cool. If there's no anything else, so Nick, you can take it over for the Treasure DAO demo.
Sweet. If anyone is here and they missed the Farcaster stuff, just drop your ENS in the chat and I can get you set up on that too. We'll do that. I'll revisit that after the treasure stuff. Yeah, so what was really cool in Brussels was that we at the Arbitrum GovHack, we presented the treasure case study. So many of you have probably seen the treasure case study already on our website. Treasure DAO is an Arbitrum based gaming DAO. For those of you who don't know, they also turns out that they're also the biggest delegate in Arbitrum. So they are like focused on, let's see, is it Treasure DAO XYZ? I think so. Their main thing is like that they're focused on like creating like Steam or something like that for gaming, the whole gaming ecosystem. But it just so happens that they got a ton of Arbitrum delegated to them, and that meant that they were like participating in the Arbitrum DAO as like a whole stream of work that they had to do separate from like actually building their gaming ecosystem. So that was a huge distraction. And one of the things that was interesting about helping to do this case study, what we end up doing is basically creating a council that has 8 people on it, and that council votes on behalf of this entire ARB delegation in the Arbitrum DAO, and then everyone else in Treasure DAO doesn't have to kind of like manually look at that. And I'll show you how that's set up in a second, and maybe ask Spencer to comment on the technical aspects of it. But what's particularly interesting about this is that it's a really good representation of what HATS does. And what they're able to do is reduce the operational costs of participating in using this power and the resources that they have in the DAO by taking all of these people who are in the actual Treasure DAO and delegating responsibility and authority to a smaller group that has accountability back up to the DAO. So instead of having, I don't know, 50 or 100 people who have to like consider all the stuff that's happening in Arbitrum and then build context and then vote and then have that vote passed on to this DAO, then they've reduced that to just 8 people who are able to kind of have this like really high context responsibility and to take care of it on behalf of the DAO. And I think that's going to we see this in Rare DAO. Obviously, Brennan is here and he's demoed the Rare DAO tree and case study for us as well. And it's a similar pattern I think we're going to see more and more is like the idea that you can gain operational efficiency or save operational costs by creating a HATS tree that does a specific purpose. Just to share a little more context on kind of how we got here. We originally were talking to Pepperoni Joe and the leadership of Treasure DAO. They were specifically looking for a solution to this problem. This is the way that the HATS tree actually looks in the app. You have the top hat, which owns the signer gate, that's the module connected to the safe. You have the actual council that this is voting in the tally proposals and the snapshot proposals, which I'll show in the safe UI in a second. And then you have the elected council members. So it's pretty generally we see this pattern a lot in terms of like creating a multi-sig with signers and as part of a HATS tree. This pattern I think is in almost every HATS tree, and safe is probably one of our most potent and common integrations that people ask for or want set up. And then of course you can jump out from the HATS app to the safe itself, so you can see that this is the safe that they're using for the votes, and then you can see how they're using this for maybe 2 to 3 different votes per week, and it uses HATS and it also uses the Zodiac Rolls mod. So again, part of the reason for sharing this is just saying like, okay, wow, celebrating this is a very simple but very powerful use case for HATS. The other part of it is that we're about to investigate kind of the way that this is set up to explore the next version of the HATS signer gate and the UI components around this. So we'd love feedback if you want something like this set up, or you want to participate in kind of the requirements gathering we're going to do on the next version at the protocol level, or at the contract module level and at the application layer, then we'd love to hear your thoughts. Any questions on that? And after questions, I'd like to go to Spencer to comment a little bit more about the technical implementation. Cool. Spencer, would you just talk a little bit about how this is set up with roles mod and HatSinerGate and Snapshot?
Yeah. So, who here is familiar with? I guess I'm asking people to raise their hands again. Who here is familiar with the Zodiac roles mod? Okay, we got a couple people, 3 people. We got some balloons accidentally. Okay, so very briefly, the roles mod is this really powerful permissioning utility that you can use to extend the granularity of the permissions that people have when accessing or using the resources of a given safe multisig. So what it does is it's a safe module, so it gets approved, and it allows the safe itself to authorize different other users to take narrowly scoped actions on behalf of the safe. So it basically, so they don't have to rely on the signers to do those actions. They can, for example, be allowed to send a certain amount of tokens only to a certain address, or they can be allowed to vote in a governor DAO, in a specific governor DAO with a maybe even a specific type of proposal. So it's very, very flexible and granular access control for a safe, which is awesome. And that's a great fit for HATS, because HATS is all about enabling and connecting to access controls everywhere. So what we do in order to connect up the HAT role with the Zodiac roles mod is we use HatSinerGate in this case, or we could use HATS Wallet, or we could, well, I guess it's those two things. We use one of those, in this case, HatSinerGate, to give the hat, in this case, the ARC hat, give it access as defined in the roles mod. So what's happening here is we actually have 2 safes. So I think, as Nick mentioned, there's the Treasure DAO safe, which is a multi-sig, and I think it's like 5 of 8 or 4 of 7 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I mean, that's the main Treasure DAO. Like the Treasure DAO core team is on that multi-sig. And then the other one is the ARC. And this is the, and actually, if you, maybe, yeah, this is good, Nick. Can you go to the modules section right here? So you'll see that this is the roles mod that has been added to the main Treasure DAO multi-sig. And this roles mod is authorizing some address to have what it calls the ARC role. And we'll get more into that in a second. But that ARC role is given several permissions in order to act on behalf of the treasure safe. And it's basically 3 permissions. One of those is to vote on proposals in the Arbitrum. Actually, it's 2 permissions. One is to vote on proposals in the Arbitrum Governor DAO. And the second one is to vote in the Arbitrum Snapshot, space. Voting in the Arbitrum Snapshot space is a little bit tricky because Snapshot is all off-chain signatures. So what's actually happening is that the authorization to vote in the Snapshot space is really the authorization to create a specific set of smart contract signatures on behalf of the Treasure DAO multisig. So we have the arc, and that is a role in the roles mod. It's also a role in as a hat. So what we're doing is we're basically connecting up the role as defined in the roles mod with the role as defined in hats, and then we're just like joining those together, and then the arc liaisons who are signers on the arc safe are able to collectively execute those type of transactions on behalf of the Treasure DAO multisig. There's like 3 levels more that we can go into, but that's like levels 1, 2, and 3 maybe of the technical aspects.
Awesome. Thank you, Spencer. That's super helpful. Any other follow-up questions from folks here about either the setup or the way it's being used, the technical details? Awesome. Well, I'll drop also the link here. If you haven't checked out the case study already, then definitely read the case study. That gives a pretty good high level. And yeah, happy to help set it up for anyone who needs it.
Thank you very much, Nick. With that, we covered all our topics for today. Just to recap, we talked about the Farcaster hats frames alpha test, which Nick presented. Scott presented the new hats app updates. Spencer talked about the passport eligibility module. Then David gave us some ProtoDAO updates. We had some time for Q&A and the Treasure DAO now by Nick. We have a bit of time. Maybe if we can open it up again for any questions, maybe specific on the frame stuff. Any question, technical or feature wise, and otherwise other topics.
I just EC, I just added you to the account Farcaster. So you should be able to claim now using that frame. And since you missed it at the beginning, yeah, basically you're gonna use that to run a transaction to actually claim signing authority and then install 2 cast actions. And then once you are able to cast through the shared account, then send that to us and let us know so we can see that it's fully tested. Also, if anyone wants a little bit more information about the alpha test that we're running for these frames right now, I'm dropping a link in the chat. It's got the full kind of end-to-end test that we're asking people to help with. We'd love if you would take a half an hour and kind of walk through the full flow. We have a Telegram group that we set up for reporting bugs. We're looking to launch this pretty soon officially. So this is like a really good QA and like prototype before we release it to the broader Farcaster ecosystem.
Anything else? If no, have a good day, everybody. Thank you for joining. And you are also very welcome to tell your friends to also join the community and get involved. And thank you very much.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.